Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leah and I'm sharing my journey on becoming a financial planner. So, with that journey, there comes ups and downs, and today I'm sharing a down part of the journey. Back in March 11th, 2022 to be exact, I took the CFP examination. And with that is step 2 of becoming a certified financial planner and being able to utilize that designation. And it is a 170 question exam, lasts about 3 hours. Was it 3? It might have been longer than 3 hours. I could be completely wrong. It might be 6. I know that's a drastic difference, but I don't remember. I just know it was 170 questions. And I found out yesterday that I did not pass the exam. While I was very, very disappointed, I decided that I just have to keep going. I immediately registered for the July exam. I immediately enrolled in a review course, and just took other measures to keep the ball rolling. So just some background on the first time I took the exam and background on me, just to see, what I did and things I plan to do differently this go round. So just on me in general, I am a wife, I am a mother to 2 small children. I work full time outside of the financial planning industry. I work as an engineer. And I also have my internship with a financial planning company. And so, from a demand standpoint, I do have a lot of demands on me. And I did during that time. And I just also want to say, I'm not making any excuses as to why I failed. I do believe that I could have passed. But I just want to give an accurate depiction because I know some people, want to know what you did, how was your life, how are you able to manage things. And so that's my life. So I would say for study time, I had before work, a couple hours after work, and then time after I put the kids to bed. To be completely transparent, the time after I put the kids to bed would essentially be a wash for me. I do get up very early. I'm not great at staying up late. And so I would either fall asleep studying or not study at all once the kids were in bed. But morning times, I get up early. So morning times were good for me to study. And then immediately after I finished my full-time job, that was a good time for me to study because I would study and then stop around dinner time to make dinner and cook. I will also say that probably about a month to a month and a half before the test, my husband kind of took over everything. So I wasn't cooking, I wasn't doing anything. It was just strictly study, study, study. Now, what I did from a study perspective, initially, I had some old books that I was reading, and I wouldn't say they were of any help. Let me show you. So I had this book, and this is really old. There's probably a newer edition, and it just kind of gives you an outline of things on the exam. I also had a question book, and I don't have it nearby where I can grab it, but it was like 1,000 CFP examination questions. So I had that. Um, I didn't necessarily feel that those were going to be sufficient enough for me to attempt to take the test on solely. And so I went to the CFP board forums and was able to find somebody that was selling their old test materials, which was still applicable for the March exam. So I bought the Dalton books off of that person, and it came with 5 books on the various topics. So like this was one for retirement, and it has like fundamentals and insurance. It has investment, tax planning, estate. So all of that was covered in those books. So with that, there was a lot of reading. Once you read, at the end of each chapter, there would be review questions. And then once you finished the book, there would be an exam on the entirety of the material that you read within that book. And so that was helpful at first, but I still wasn't feeling comfortable or confident. So I would say probably a month before the exam, I bought the Dalton Test Bank. Now, it's not something that they publicize as selling separately, so I had to call and request to buy the test bank. So once I did that, it took them probably like an hour before I was able to get access. They sent me an email with login information, and I got access to the Dalton Test Bank. There are thousands of questions in the test bank. They encourage you to go through each question twice. I never made it through each question twice. I would probably say I made it through a third to a half of the questions twice. And something I found out towards the very end of, I still have access, but something I found out as it got closer to the exam was that you can create customized tests, which I wish I would have done initially. And so the customized test allows you to pick which sections you want to be tested on, and allows you to randomize the test, or you could choose questions that you got wrong to get retested on. So I really wish I would have done that. And so that is all I did to prepare. I was studying, and I did study, so I don't feel like I did not study enough. I don't feel like that was the issue. However, there would be times where there would be like a day where I was like, I'm not doing this today. I just want to study at all. I would say the weekends I would kind of study all day on Saturday and Sunday, especially as it got closer to the test. I would study all day on Saturday and Sunday. I started studying probably months in advance, but like that initial period wasn't consistent. Like I probably took the whole month of December off, didn't study at all in December. I would say I started getting more consistent in January, and then started really hitting it hard. Once again, and I've said this in previous videos, I passed the educational coursework back in 2011. And so for me, some of this stuff was like relearning it all over. And so I definitely should have been more consistent months and months ago. Like I probably should have given myself twice as long with consistent studying as somebody who had just finished their coursework. And so what I struggled with was like stuff that needed to be memorized. and I don't know how I'm going to overcome that, because there are things that you just have to remember. I guess just through doing more problems, I'll overcome that. But I just got mixed up with some tax stuff that you just had to know. Um, when it came to like figuring things out, I did well on those. The investment section I scored high on, so it wasn't. I do better with having to figure things out than just having to just know them um, from memory. I did make note cards, so I was trying to be consistent with the instructions that Dalton gave in their books. They told you to make note cards anytime you got something wrong or something was unfamiliar. So I have tons of note cards. The problem was I did not ever go back to the note cards. It was like I felt like there was so much material to go through that I never had time to just go back to the note cards and re-review the note cards. And so that is something that I would do differently this time. Another thing is this time I decided to actually enroll in a program. I still have the Dalton materials. Now they are now outdated for the July 2022 exam. However, I'm thinking like the only things that can really significantly change are the tax tables, which those are provided. So I don't really care about that changing. Also, there's probably more psychology stuff in the new book for the July 2022 exam. And so I'm probably missing out on that. However, I feel okay about that because I did score high on the psychology exam. And also, and I don't have it here, but I have a very, very old book from the American College of Financial Planning that has a whole psychology section. And I think that's how I was able to do well on that portion of the exam, because it goes through all of the topics that the CFP board covers on the exam. So I'm not going to discard the Dalton materials that I have as a reference. However, I did decide to enroll in a course through Kaplan. And Kaplan is not a company that people bring up when they're like, oh, who to go through for CFP study. Um, and so that's kind of a risk there. Most people say Dalton, Danco, Zahn. Um, and I was this close to signing up for the Zahn course. However, they don't have replays. Like it has to be done live. And I have like 2 commitments on the days that the virtual was available that I could not do live. And so I signed up for Kaplan. The reason I did sign up for Kaplan was, one, financially, like I did not want to pay $2,000. I've already spent a lot of money and I'm still spending money, and I did not want to pay $2,000 to actually enroll in Dalton's course. I think Danco was a little bit less, but still didn't want to pay that money. And it is what it is. That's just me. Two, especially with Dalton, because I have the books, not that much could possibly change. And I still have access to the test bank for a year, which I've already paid for this stuff. So it's like, it wasn't worth me paying $2,000 to get the extra stuff that I don't have. Not going to do it. Kaplan was the only provider that had a lower cost course. They do have one that was like $1,500, but they also had one that was $479, or it came out to $479 after taxes. And I'm glad I did. I signed up with them because I also was taking them for the Series 65, and I just like how things were structured. I liked how they create a schedule for you. And for me, I think that is something that I needed. I need somebody else to tell me when I should be studying what. And so I have a schedule through them. Um, it lets me track my performance on the different topics as I take the exam. So I like that as well. I did a diagnostic exam to see the areas that I'm not doing well in. Um, and so I really like that. I opted for the ebook version of the test. I mean, of the review materials, which I think I regret. I think I wish I would have got the hard copy. I don't know if I can call and request that at this point. Um, I just ordered this stuff yesterday, so I'm assuming it shouldn't be that big of a problem. I'll probably just have to pay for shipping. But right now, I do have access to the study materials via an online book company. Um, and so I'm going back through the materials. The way Kaplan has their program structure is that you'll read a unit and then, um, and I don't know thoroughly, like I've only looked at the first couple weeks of my study schedule, but like this week I'm reading the first unit. Next week I'll be doing the test bank questions for the entirety of the week. And I think that's good for me. Like I said earlier, that is something that I wish I would have did last time. I wish I would have started test bank questions sooner, because there's no way you can pass the test without doing questions. You cannot pass just off of reading the material. Um, and so we'll see how it goes. I have around 80 days until the next exam. I have to keep reminding myself that I'm not starting from zero. So like I said, what I'm doing differently is sticking with this schedule that Kaplan has set up for me. I am going to double dip. I'm going to do the Dalton Test Bank and the Kaplan Test Bank. The difference I think in material is that Kaplan is more to the point of the test, whereas Dalton gives you a whole lot of information, and I think it's good to know, but I think it may be more than what is needed for the test. And now that I'm going through Kaplan, I think there's certain things that Kaplan discusses that Dalton did not discuss that were present on the test. And so I think it'll be good for me to have both references and be able to answer both question types so that I will have a more well-rounded experience. Yeah, but I think the biggest thing for me is being able to do the questions up front and being able to stick to the schedule that has been outlined by Kaplan. Right now, it has me studying for about 8 hours per week. And so that'll be the minimum for me. I'll probably try to do more. I know the CFP board recommends 10 to 15 hours per week. So I probably will try to do more, and that more will come from the Dalton materials. So that is it. Another thing that I did was requested a mentor. And so I do have mentorship through my internship, but I've also just requested a mentor through the CFP board who is specifically assigned to hold me accountable for the CFP exam exclusively. And so I haven't met with her yet, but hopefully I will talk to her soon. She has reached out to me. She reached out to me immediately, which was a good sign. So we're just trying to coordinate schedules on when to meet up. But that is it. If you have any suggestions for me, I welcome them. And here's to studying again. Take care.